Hello students, today we are going to see how to consider multiple random variables together. First of all, let me justify why this is a problem of interest. Let us say we are in a class and we are interested in the health of a class. In that case, height and weight are the two factors that play a crucial role. So let omega be the set of all students in a class, and let x denote the height of the student and y denote the weight of the student. Now there are different ways to consider heights and weights. Ignoring the name of the student, you can actually consider his height separately and ask him to stand on a weighing machine and consider his weight separately. In that case, what we are deriving, or what if at all we will be able to do something, then we will be able to find the probability mass function of x and probability mass function of y separately, where x is the height of a student, y is the weight of a student, and I am not distinguishing between students. But if I want to understand if there is any relation between height and weight of a student, for example, generally tall people will tend to have more weight. Shorter people, if they are not fat, they will not have more weight. So all these relations are not revealed when I consider only the margin, only the pxx or pyx. So what I need to consider is to consider both of them together. So if I want to consider both of them together, I need to define something which is called joint PMF, which is defined here. Pxy of xy is probability of x is equal to x intersected with y is equal to y. Let us take one example. My height is 180 centimeter and my weight is 80 kg, let us say. Then people falling in 180 centimeter will not have a weight which is below 50 kg. That's a sound assumption. In a similar manner, people who are only 150 centimeters in weight, that is 5 feet, will not have a weight, should not have weight which is exceeding 90 kg. So all these assumptions are valid, and therefore the distribution of the values that the random variable will take will have a joint PMF, and therefore it is important to study this joint PMF. Okay. So let us take a textbook type example and understand the concepts of joint PMF. So here is the joint PMF. Both x and y takes the value 1, 2 and 3, and their probabilities are tabulated in this box. Okay, so wherever probabilities are not written, they are essentially 0. Okay. So now when I am studying two random variables together, recall our discussion on events. So what problems you can, what questions you can ask. Okay. So for example, if I am talking about probability of A intersection B, then I can ask a question whether I can tell you something about probability of A. So in that case, we had law of total probability, which will give us probability of A intersection B into probability of A intersection B complement will give me probability of A. In a similar manner, I can ask a question which is let us say what is the probability of B, and again I will have a same answer which is based on law of total probability. How these answers make sense in this particular context? Let us say my event A is x is equal to x, and let us say my event B is y is equal to y. So when I am talking about the joint PMF, then I am talking about the event that A is happening and here the B is happening. So I am essentially talking about the event A intersection B when I am talking about joint PMF. So all my principles of probability are still applicable in terms of events, but now they are more varied because it's a random variable. And because it's a random variable, we can talk about the concepts of expectation and variance. These are the two key concepts that we have studied in last few lectures. So let us go ahead and understand this principle in a more detailed manner. So now the question is, can I, based on this table, can I compute Pxy for any xy, the joint PMF for any xy? The answer is yes. Let us say, for example, if my xy pair is 1 1, then what is the probability of that? We can obviously see it is 0. In a similar manner, this is the probability for Pxy of 1 3. Let us not put the equality sign here, it may misinterpret. Okay, this is done. Then 1 3 is also 0. Then another one is 3 3. That is also 0. In a similar manner, you can ask question, what is Pxy of 1 2, which is 2 by 13, which is also equal to Pxy of 3 comma 2, and so on. You can write all these other details. So basically I can uniquely describe Pxy of xy. So joint PMF is defined. Now the next question is, what if I sum over all values of x? What if I sum over all values of x when my y is fixed? So let us do that here as well. Let me change the color of the pen so that it will be more visible. So let us take the value which is y is equal to 1, that is this value. So I am drawing with red pen. So this is the value y is equal to 1. What is sum over Pxy of 1? So I am asking a question, sum over Pxy, where x is this, y is 1. So what is the answer? So we can easily see, when I sum over this, it's 4 by 13 plus 1 by 13, which is 5 by 13. But what does this value actually mean? If in absence of x, what will this value mean? This value is actually 5 by 13. That means varied over all possible values of x, what is the value of y? So this is in fact what we have seen just now. You just look at this probability of A intersection B. Okay, so in this case I have varied, I have tried to compute probability of B given probability of A intersection B, and in that case I need to work on probability of A complement intersection with B. So what is A complement here? Because my y was fixed to be equal to 1, so x was 1, 2 and 3. In fact we had 3 sets. Therefore this essentially will give me probability of B that can be written as Py of 1. So in particular, if I vary over all values of y, this is actually giving me Py of y. This is a demo, but this will give me Py of y, and this Py of y will be called as marginal probability mass function. Why marginal? Because we are marginalizing marginal PMF of y. Why marginal? Because we are marginalizing over x and we are keeping y intact. In a similar manner, you can ask a question, what if I sum over y and I keep my x fixed? That will give me Pxx of x. This doesn't require any discussion. In this diagram, if you want to consider this, it can be like, if I fix my x to be equal to 3, if I fix my x to be equal to 3, then in this diagram this vertical line or this vertical shape channel column is going to be Px of x. Okay. Now what if I sum over x and sum over y? The answer is very simple, because when you sum, let us take this way, when you sum over y, what you get is, for fixed x you get Px of x. When you sum over all x's, what you should get? You should get 1, correct? So naturally what you have here is the law of probability, and if this joint PMF is actually a valid PMF, because Pxy is always greater than or equal to 0, when you sum over all of them it is going to be 1, and when you sum over individual x's and y's you will get corresponding marginals. This is marginal of x. So what we have done here is we have defined various concepts together. First, let me go through again. First, we have seen what is the relation of joint PMF with our conventional notion of probability of events. That is, if you have been given a joint PMF, that means you are given a probability of intersection of two events, and we have identified those events. In such case, this PMF is a valid probability mass function. That is what we have shown in the end. Then through example I have shown you how to compute this Pxy. Then we have also seen how to compute the marginal probability mass functions of x and marginal probability mass functions of y. Finally, now the question comes, because joint probability distribution is nothing but the distribution of intersection of two events, or joint probability mass function is nothing but computing probability of two elementary events. So can I define a conditional probability mass function for these two random variables? We have already done this. It's just a mere exercise. We have already done this when we are given the same random variable. That is, we have to define the event appropriately. Here it is much simpler, because the event, let us say B, is y is equal to y. So in that case I can easily define conditional probability. So my let me rewrite it here. So my event A is event x is equal to x, and event B is event y is equal to y. So I am not doing anything new, but this is just an exercise in notation. So what I am asking, if I am asking this probability mass function is, I am asking probability of A given B. According to our standard definition of conditional probability, this will be probability of A intersection B upon probability of B. Just follow the notation and that will give you, this is in fact going to be equal to A, because A is x is equal to x and B is y is equal to y. This is in fact going to be equal to probability of x is equal to x and y is equal to y together, upon probability of B, where B is the event y is equal to y. But so we will get probability of y is equal to y. But what is probability of x is equal to x and y is equal to y in our notation? It's nothing but joint PMF, and this thing, the denominator, is nothing but the marginal PMF of y. Therefore this definition is also justified for conditional PMF. Now the standard condition, if probability of B is equal to 0, this conditional probability is not defined. So in order to define these probabilities, Pyy should be greater than 0. Let us go back to our original example. For example, in this case you cannot find anywhere Pyy to be equal to 0. That's the idea. So so you have conditional probabilities defined throughout. Again, conditional probability, as we mentioned earlier, is nothing but a probability in itself. Therefore all nice properties of probability should hold true. Let us verify them one by one. So if I sum over all x's by keeping the y fixed, what should you expect the sum to be? It should be equal to 1 naturally, because let us look at this diagram. And let us try to compute some conditional probabilities, then it will be very clear. So in this diagram, let us fix y, let us fix the event y to be equal to 1. If you fix this event y to be equal to 1, then you are talking about pxy of x given y, which is equal to 1. So in particular, let me write it here, pxy of x given 1. So what I am doing, I am fixing y to be equal to 1, and then I am talking about this probability. Now it is green. I know py of 1 is 5 by 13 from my computation, which is given here. So the denominator I know is 5 by 13, and what is the numerator, which will vary based on the values of x. So let me write it here, where let me write it in a smaller font so that it will be better visible. pxy x1, and it will take three values, that is x is equal to 1, x is equal to 2, and x is equal to 3. Now consider the denominator, which is 5 by 13 throughout, correct? So I will have upon 5 by 13 throughout. Okay, so now let us talk about the numerator. So when x is 1, the numerator is 0, so the probability is 0. When x is 2, the numerator is 4 by 13, and x is equal to 3, it is 1 by 13. So in particular, my conditional PMF will become 0, 1 by 4 by 5, and 1 by 5 for x is equal to 1, 2, and 3 respectively. Okay, so what this sums up to, 4 by 5 plus 1 by 5 is equal to 1. Therefore we have verified this result through example, but you can verify this result in general. Okay, after defining conditional probability, the next important theorem in our probability of events was multiplication rule, or multiplication of probabilities, which is abbreviated as MP. So given a joint PMF, and I know the marginal PYY is greater than 0, I can write the joint PMF as product of marginal of y into conditional probability of x given y of x given y. So this is straightforward application of multiplication rule, which says probability of A intersection B is equal to probability of B into probability of A given B. Straightforward application of multiplication rule is this. So we have proved multiplication rule as well.